I hear the train a-coming. It's rolling around the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine. I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rolling. All down to San Antonio. All down to San Antonio.
Guys, we are live. Welcome to Rip It. We're going to be cracking this thing off today. We're going to be talking about derailments. Got a few guys to introduce to you guys today, if I can get this thing rolling. And
what's up?
Here we go, maybe. No, that's not us. No, hang on. Now we're going to be rocking. Yeah, now we're back. Welcome to Rip It.
What's up, man?
We got CE in the left. We got DB on the right. CE looks like he's ate something that's turned him into Chewy. Oh, he just took his. Oh, well, it's all over with. So
hold on a second. I'm hearing double here.
You hearing double?
I am. I know why. I fixed it.
You fixed it.
I fixed it. I did. I promise. Can y'all hear me?
I think you can hear us. I think so.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you
Brian's got the keys, man.
I've got the keys. I've got the keys. But look, I'm ripping it all down.
And I'm no longer hearing double. I thought it was that Bigfoot head I had on. I was hearing echoes in there. I was hearing echoes. Anyways.
One moment. I got to do something. Rip it derailment of our nation. But I've got to work something on the back end. John, you just rock and roll. You go on. It's just going to have us on there. One moment. I got to do something.
Well, we're going to be talking about the derailments, and most of you guys have been keeping up with the derailments, and you got truthradioshow.com in here on the news every single week, and then you got Brian picking up on all the esoteric stuff that's going, the elite blue blood evil that's pushing these agendas and causing all these crashes. Now, in the New York Times this morning, I was reading an article this morning, Dan, where the New York Times is saying, oh, this happens all the time. And you could tell this is a George Soros built industry as far as who's writing these papers. But there's millions of Americans right now that literally believe that that government would do nothing to harm them in any way, would not lie to them, and it's the American way. Yet, New York Times, LA Times, Chicago Tribune, and a lot of these major newspapers right now are telling the American people, and I'm not saying you're the ones being snowballed, but what I'm saying is they're actually, it's that MK Ultra conditioning. And it started back at the end of 2019, but where we're at right now, most of the major newspapers and media are telling you this happens all the time. There's nothing to see here. And the last three, yes, they were toxic in nature. They destroyed farmlands for miles at end, all the way down the Ohio River. But just yesterday, there's 2 or 3 more popping up. So do you believe, you guys, do you believe what that government's saying to us, that this happens all the time, that Pete Buttigieg has the situation under control? What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah, no, it's normal, nothing to see here, because like trains, supposed to derail every day. It's just insanity, it really is.
Well, y'all have got me on a day, man. Yesterday was not too good of a day. After I got off with you, John, I had some awesome news that I got, and this is going to be a hot topic for me on this derailment narrative. Let me tell you something. I know from coming from a perspective of my reality of my world, where I used to do my occupational work with my job, becoming doing a milkman business. Let me tell you something. I know there's yeah, just run it, boy. You just run it. You know, like if it's got a hole in the bottom of it, drive it. If a DOT violation, drive it. If the back door's flying off, drive it. If there's oil flying out the back, drive it. So we have incompetence, and well, another thing we have is money with people with big pockets, but they're too stingy with their money to spend to maintenance their vehicles. Well, it's the same concept with this train derailment, but here's the thing: there's something nefarious with it, and I've been looking at forums and reading up on it and looking at it and trying to navigate around all this foolishness that's going on. If a train is on fire for 40 minutes and all the sensors and everything, and it's going ding 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 ding, and there's nobody there to run the control panel, I'm calling bullcrap, right? And if they drive by a securely system and they just let it go, there's nobody sitting down. Maybe there is. Maybe there's somebody playing video games at the watch station. But I know better. I know. Listen, this whole derailment thing is I hate to use the words on here, but I was listening to a forum. These executives of these big businesses, these railroad companies, are going to like the government. The governments, they're all coming to these big meetings and saying, "Hey, there's something going on, like with derailment." So they're labeling it. Maybe it's a terrorist, that kind of narrative, and they're literally coming out and saying it. Oh, duh! If it's coming off the track and it's rolling around the bend, and you ain't gonna see no sunshine again, what do you think? If it's gonna come off the tracks right in the middle, and then it's magically, I hate to use that word, coming off in the middle of a town or a city, and it's got 10,000 whatever to augment and to replicate the weather patterns. I mean, come on, people. And then, but I know from what I used to do before I got hurt, I understand the perspective. Well, we just scrape $1, man, and just do what we gotta do. If the transmission's falling out the back, you can still get it to run, can't you? So that mentality probably still exists in other corporations, absolutely. But you can't sit here and tell me that when you have $1 billion corporation that you can't maintenance your vehicles. But then they're going to try to take away, well, obviously it's going to be shortages in iron ore, all this, etc. They're literally trying to move and they have shortages. That's all it is. It's manufactured. It's got to be. And these guys, it's got to be. Like, it's all just, look, ignorance is bliss. The people are literally sitting there saying, well, I have to come up with a mathematical equation of geometric shape. I mean, come on. Literally, if I can touch it, feel it, look at it, I don't have to have a PhD in 1, 2, 3 to understand the logistics of a tire or a wheel spinning on a metal track. We've had the technology since the 1800s, way beyond this stuff's been going way back, right? Man, it burns me up. They know they have to go through tests. People are playing they're playing the fiddle. They're playing the fiddle. And this whole thing is just one big. That's me. I mean, I'm gonna get tore up today, guys. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Tore up.
Yeah, go. I'm gonna rip it. I'm gonna rip it on this one. Yeah.
I think it's the Kentucky Milk Company. They want you back at work, and they're derailing trains because they're pissed.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, well, this old boy can't drive no more. I always see, and when I get in the passenger seat, it's like looking into a 10D world of spinning out of control and on a swivel. So listen,
you don't need to take drugs, do you, Brian?
No,
you just try to function with the core morbidities that you got going on.
Just get in the car.
Is live alone. Just think about getting on one of these.
UFOs coming down over there.
There's a railroad here that does touristing, and it takes them through the rolling hills of the bluegrass state, shows you all the places where they make mash and Jim Beam and all that stuff. And you eat from the time you leave until the time you get back. It's almost like going out on a boat, for a vacation. That's all you do is you eat, and they just keep putting it in front of you. The thing about the American people and what you guys have been seeing out there is if you go to like the NIH website right now, it says, and it intercepted, this is no joke. You go there, around 5,500 pages of documents from the National Institute of Health uncovering a litany, and this is their words, in quotes, a litany of mishaps, right, with the U.S. made bioweapons in transport with the locomotive industry in the United States. However, mass media is not reporting that. And what Brian, and I just want to set on top of what Brian just said, they're playing the fiddle. They're not telling you the truth. Yet independent researchers out there like yourselves are seeing this stuff and going, we are being lied to here. And it's ridiculous. No wonder Brian and many of you guys are like ticked off about this. We're tired of being lied to by these corporations and these media outlets telling us there's nothing to see here. There's no toxicity here. Again, in 2019 in Louisville, Kentucky, right, they downplayed this. Fluoride was dumped in one of the derailments. And of course, there are derailments throughout the year. But when we're talking, you know, there's 5,500 pages, this is, we're under attack in some fashion or form. But from who? From what? Because we can't tell who's friend or foe in .government. And we got all these 3-letter agencies standing on either side. And as an American, as a believer in Jesus Christ that can't cross certain commandments when it comes to man's laws, we're in a pickle, because what these people are doing are incredibly insane. And if East Palestine hadn't taught us anything, 9/11 hadn't taught us anything, or any other disasters that's been, how shall I say, aggravated or pushed or prodded by our government, we're in trouble as a nation. And yet people are more worried about having purple hair and telling you him, them, and pronouns are what we need to be worried about, or having some guy think he's a girl swimming in a meet to win some NCAA. This is ridiculous. And yet this is what we're focused on. You go to any third world country, and you guys know this, any third world country out there, and they live in poverty, they live in absolute squalor. And unless you go looking for it, you don't see it. Everything's first world. We got it made. We want it yesterday. And something like this pops up, it gets a little media touch, and then they blow it off. And if it wasn't for independent researchers like you guys out there doing your homework, looking at the paperwork, following the paper trails and the money, nobody would know this stuff. So kudos to all of you guys out there for, one, being obedient to the living God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in a society that is fallen, and two, doing your due diligence, which we all need to be doing. And Brian, now I'm fired up. Dude, you inspired me.
Yeah, I mean, it's negligence. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead. I mean, Dan, go
But
ahead.
yeah, but,
No.
and just to add more cherries to the top of this ice cream here, you know, like school shootings going on, and look at the last several school shootings, all trans, and then they're sitting there blaming white, you know, for a while it was the white Christian male, right? And that's all trans, it's people of different colors shooting schools up now. And here's the thing too, so the narrative's switching on themselves, so they can't blame the white Christian anymore, and they're even attacking Christian schools, and you know, then they're going after the gun rights for it, to say, oh, it's your fault, you know, that you own guns. And that's what's going on. So they want to take your guns. It's a communist agenda. That's what's going on. We are under attack. Somebody's declared war on us, and there could be a mix of Chinese nationalists. It could be which more, you know, 99% is government agencies, CIA, FBI. They're the ones staging the stuff. Look what they did with January 6th. You know what I mean? They staged the whole thing to go after patriots and everything else. And here's the thing too. People get, the NRA. You notice that the left always attack the NRA, right? But like I told them, like the idiot David Hogg, right, from Florida, I asked him, right, name one NRA member that's committed a mass shooting. You won't. And name one patriot that's committed a mass shooting. You won't, and you can't. It's always these far left lunatics that are doped up on psychotropic drugs and all this other stuff that can't decide what sex they are or pronoun they go by. These are the people shooting up schools. And they happen to be the same exact people calling for gun control. So this is a communist agenda. This is communism 101. The same people staging the stuff and the same people calling for the gun solution. The problem, reaction, solution is coming from the same place.
Yep.
But the real solution is to arm the schools, because you know they have no problem arming banks, no problem arming the government officers, no problem arming these corrupt politicians, right? But when it comes to arming the schools, God forbid that these kids will be safe. And looking at Israel, right? 1974, they armed all the schools, and 48 years has been 2 attempts at a school shooting. That's it, and no kids died. Both times the shooters were stopped dead by an armed guard or something. And here in America, you know, because we want to disarm the schools, and here's what makes me sick to my stomach, right? And even the people in Newtown and everywhere else, right? You people are sick SOBs. You sit there, exploit the deaths of your own children most of the time, or children in general. You exploit the deaths of children in general just to push tyrannical gun control. It's going to get more kids killed. That's what gun control is going to do. So you keep disarming the schools. Every child that dies is on your hands. Not the gun owners, not the NRA, not the the gun lobby. And as the NRA, they only represent 5%. That's it, 5% of gun owners. That's all. And yes, they lobby for gun rights. We all should be lobbying for gun rights. It's not a right-wing thing. It's a people thing. And these people just make me sick to my stomach. They sit there and then they'll sue you. Oh, yeah, let's go sue Alex Jones. Let's go sue everybody else because we want to make riches off our children. We want to make these people are sick, disgusting monsters. And they all the time exploit the deaths of kids to push a communist agenda. And what's going to happen? More kids are going to die from this. More people are going to die from this because 1900s, hundreds of millions of people died from their own government when they turned in their guns. And we're not going to turn in our guns. And if you notice, if you people on the left notice, gun sales are a record high. Every month now, it's a new record high. Last year was more people bought guns last year than they ever did in history. And the year before, and every year it's setting a new record. We're already on the record of destroying that record. So the more you call for gun control, more people now being pissed off. They're going out and buying guns now. People that you never thought would have a gun. They're going out and buying a gun just because the government says we're going to come take it. People know history now. They know when you take guns, people die. And we are not going to go down that way. We're going to go down fighting. We're going to go kicking, screaming, and biting. That's what we're going to do. So one thing you don't mess with the American people in our Second Amendment because, you put our backs against the wall, we're going to put you in the grave, plain and simple. And it's just this end of the crap. We were sick of the communist agenda, then rubbing the crap down, the sexual stuff with the kids in the schools and everywhere else. And enough is enough, man.
You're not making it up.
You're
not making it up. So you got a president. You got a president, guys, that's taking showers with children. This is fact. It's fact. His family, like Dan brought up, I'm going to put a cherry on top of that one. Okay, you've got bank documents saying he's sewing money into the Chinese, whatever you want to Chinese. He's selling our stuff, our goods, which happened in the 80s with the Clintons. Same thing. With the Obamas, same thing. However, a society that promotes mental illness, like .government right now, is shocked. It's shocked when confronted with the absolute vulgarity that we're dealing with. Morals have been shifted. Again, the Father's word is so crystal clear. He told us everything's upside down, backwards, upside. Everything that was right is now wrong, and everything that was wrong is now right. It's going to happen. And guess, voila, we're right smack in the middle of it. And when they're telling us railroads, this happens all the time. And then you go look at the NIH, you go look at the transportation department, and it doesn't happen that frequently. Now, in my history, my grandfather and both grandfathers were in the coal mines, both of them. One was a railroad man, one was in the mines as an electrician. Both of them coming out of World War II. Well, actually, my Grandpa Hall was World War I, Grandpa World War II, but they worked there. And I never heard of every once in a while you'd see one, but not as frequent, not with the chemicals. And Brian, I know you probably know, and Dan too, and you guys as well. The FDA hasn't approved, or the CDC hasn't approved, and as a matter of fact, it's illegal to transport some of the stuff they've spilled. Think about this. They're not following their own laws.
Yeah.
And when people don't follow their own laws, what happens? Believers, what happens when Israel didn't and Judah didn't? And when we don't?
Yeah, exactly.
This is where we're at.
Yeah, and look, it's called, like I was saying earlier, incompetent. And then okay, so let's get real quick. I know it's going to be, we're kind of going off the rails, right?
Go off the rails.
But
that's derailment.
Yeah, derailment on our nation. So if the fallen angels have understood the anatomy of a man, and in the intellectual, they have mapped out the genome, they understand the brain patterns, the neurons, all this stuff to do with the whole shebang of a human body. You mean to tell me, when you look into genetics and ancestral DNA and stuff, and that's why, listen, that's why when the trains came up and they had chains on them back in the World War, you know what, and they said, "Get on, boy. All right, you gonna take me to good or better places?" Absolutely. You feel me? And there was you know there's a test done on that, right? There's 3 later agencies that knew exactly all the MK, you know what, Ultra, you know, all that. They knew how to map out the genetic line, and to this day, we are being tuned in little strings, you know, little puppet masters to this day. And they're pulling the strings everywhere and pulling the agenda. And they know they know the descendants are sitting here, and they're able to get everybody to go and check, get in line, boy, follow the hills, do whatever. No, and this is the way the rules are. You shut up. But you can't critically think. You are nothing. You have been your family was nothing, you're nothing. So you just get in line and accept what we're going to be giving you, the spoonful of milk, you know, this artificial milk. So it's insane world. What I'm getting at earlier, I am no joke. I have seen this with my own eyes because I would go in all over I go over all the place, putting a product in stores. Let me tell you something. I come across people, even back then, don't do this. Well, my boss, I was like, this is way beyond, it's unmoral. It's not even the moral code of anything is out the window. Your boss is telling you to do something that it's totally wrong. Even in God's eye, even in a corporation, even in my eyes, I'm just a guy, you know, slinging some milk in the store, right? And I'm like, anything in my body tells me that you need to, what do you mean I can't do that? No, you need to take initiative. See, that's where we are. Get the fishing rod, get the pole. Let's pull everybody in, and you're you don't understand. You haven't got my title. What? It's like, okay, it's like get in the mud hole, sling, you know, dig a ditch, jump in it. That's exactly, okay, yes, I will. It's the same concept with these people. Don't check the trains. Don't check them. What? I've been checking them for 30 years. They coming through the security. No, it's on fire. The whole tires are ripping off. No, the fire. Oh, no, that's normal, honey. Don't, sir, that's normal. You just go ahead and eat your burger and let it drive on by and it's on fire. It's on a destination. Don't worry about it. See, that right there, that's what, and people will go along with it. Yes, sir. What? And it's like, you know, be a good godly person. Pull the chain, pull the brakes on, and say, hey, we got us an issue. I've got incompetent superior officer, whoever it is, superior, tell me to do something nefarious. I can't do this. And see, this is where we're at today. This is where we're at. It is what it is. And then they'll say, well, let's just give you an incentive. Let's give you a couple $100. I'll give you a bonus if you see that train go by on fire. Come on now. That's exactly the incentive, the carrot. They'll dangle it. And they'll do it, guys. What do you think, Dan? John, they'll do it. And I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean we're in this organization? Like, I've seen it with nursing homes. What do you mean? You're serving this stuff? It's bad? Oh, well, we can't do no. Yeah, you can do better. Throw in the garbage can. It's expired. You know what I mean? Because my job was to give fresh product, right? But they was giving something from a different company that had an expiration date that went out. And they did wrong. They was foolishly doing it. They're supposed to be carrying. They just did wrong. Yeah, they just.
And it boils down to that. Again, it boils down to the accountability, right?
Yeah.
The American people have become lazy. Mm-hmm. They do not hold their leaders accountable anymore. And it's gotten so bloated in Washington, D.C. and many of the state capitals around the United States. It's become, the government's been so bloated, there's no accountability. And it's in that type of leadership over generations has trickled down. And now this is what we're dealing with. That small situation, that you just dealt with is a symptom of it. And it's widespread. Many of you guys out there right now are dealing with people who do not have any inclination of what accountability is anymore. Nobody's perfect. None of us are perfect, but there are standards in which we accept when we are grafted in to Israel. And so he begins to wake us up to all these things. And when you begin to push back in a world that is, you just got to accept what I say, no matter who I am. I mean, you heard John Kerry this morning giving his spiel about why he has private jets. Well, he buys stuff that offsets the emissions coming out of his jet. He rationalizes this stuff. We are in the very same times we read about in our scriptures, where prophets are dealing with absolute fools. And all of us are in the same boat because we got the same book, but you've got people in leadership, a lazy nation that doesn't hold its leaders accountable. And when you do, when a certain sex does, you look at the IRS back in the late 2000s under Barack Obama. You saw them go after the Tea Party. And I'm not getting political here, but this is what they're doing. And now so more than ever because of what they've learned over the last 3 years during the MK Ultra, the extreme MK Ultra that they bamboozled almost the entire circle of the earth with. Mm-hmm. And now we're dealing with a bunch of zombies that go, oh, he buys Offset, so I guess that helps the climate, and he gets a pass. Or they break the laws like they did in East Palestine. That stuff, that toxic waste that was in those cars, like Brian said, it was on fire for a long time before anybody realized anything, and then here we go, the accident happened. But the FDA, the CDC, and it doesn't take rocket science to look this stuff up, that it was against the law for them to even transport it. Even transport it. They shut it down, I think it was back in the 70s or late 80s, if I remember right. But again, not everybody's like you guys out there. However, a lot of us are getting a little upset, and I see pushback. And I'm not saying civil war. I'm just saying enough is enough.
Yeah,
because if you got somebody in your face saying you got to accept me because I think I'm a girl, I'm going to laugh in your face first. I'm going to laugh in your face because this is getting ridiculous. There's kids out there right now, 13, 14, on a tablet like Dan right there with no adult supervision. Whose fault is that? That is ours. Yeah, well, it's a really cool. I love those things, by the way. But again, it's called accountability, and the United States has failed in that area. Has failed. And so for you, leading your households wherever you're at, under the order of the kingdom of God, you stand out like a sore thumb, and it's not going to get any better. Because if they come out and tell us, right, Pete Buttigieg just never shows up to East Palestine, the farms out there that have been destroyed, the air, everything down the Ohio River, all the way to Louisville, into the Mississippi River, traveling down to an already tornado-torn South, which, let's get into DARPA and HARP. We are under attack, and the masses are falling for it. And so where does that leave the believer? And I'm not talking about some Christian school that gets shot up. I'm talking about down in the ground, where you're at. How's this affect me, and how do I deal with this?
Yeah. Because
sooner or later they're going to be coming in our doors. Mm-hmm. They did during the COVID, whatever you want to call it. They were knocking down doors. The FBI was. So we're in a pickle. I'm not in fear, but people need to wake up and start taking accountability for who you vote for, why you vote for them, what you sow into.
Well, it's like, look, John, Dan. Thanks for everybody's patience too. If you haven't hit the subscribe button or hit the like button, please do. Helps us with the algorithm. You'd be glad you did. Thank you all for everybody. I just want to throw that in there. Thank you for everybody and just always supporting John and Dan and me. We want to thank you all very much. But yeah, we love you all. But anyways, let's get back on the horse here. So seriously, John, Dan, everything, like, I can't do what I used to do. I can't even drive anymore. Let's get real here. Can't do it. But I can tell you one thing. When I used to have, everything up, and I was in pretty darn good shape. And I would do and go above and beyond what was asked of me. Like, even if it wasn't even obtainable, I would do it. I would go out, and they knew that I would. I was a grunt. I would grunt it out. That's what they call it over in Kentucky. You go in the front line, boy, you do what you got to do. If the truck was not malfunctioning, what I used to drive with, it didn't look like, it was, if their flames was coming out of it, I would figure out a way. If they tell me there's nothing else you can do, you're going to get fired. You're going to lose your day of pay. They always give something in front of you and to pull you down. And I'd be like, yes, so be it then. Let's get it done. I'd get on my knees and thank the Lord. I'll be like, I'm going to die today, aren't I? Unless you intervene. And guess what? He intervened. I'll tell you an example. Had a lift gate in the back one day. This was years ago. Comes off, and I'm going 70 miles an hour down the road. And it starts to fall out of the grid. It starts to fall down. It starts to fall on the road, and it's going to cause a major accident. Well, guess what this old boy did? Gets out, stops at like a exit, gets a Cracker Barrel, and I said, well, I got a big old chain. But guess what? I got a bunch of stops. I call, there's nothing we can do, Brian. You're going to have to keep driving. I said, the hydraulic fluid is pouring out the back end. It's pouring all over the street. It's going to kill somebody. Brian, you're on your own. What? And well, if you don't do your rest of your stops, you're going to lose your day of pay. Don't you want your family to eat? What? And I was like, yes. All right, then. I got an old rusty chain. Guess what old Brian did? I had to strap that thing up and tie it, this big old chain, to lock that thing in and put a lock around it. And do that every time to get and then it got so annoying. And it got so annoying, I had to pull the milk off my hand because it was so hard. And I just drove on. Nothing. Just drove on and and then they wouldn't fix it. You feel me? You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to make a comparison here. The derailment. If there's a way and they say keep doing it, please, for the love of everything, do what you can do. Use a logistic, critical thinking mind, what God gave you. Put it together. Part it together. I don't care. As long as it gets on there and rig it up. Do y'all understand? Does anybody understand anything anymore? Like, literally bypass something. Get some, dig in. Don't just say, well, I can't do it no more. We'll let somebody else do it that gets paid big money. The big money people are telling you to do something wrong. They're telling you to keep driving it on. Figure out a way to maintain it where it's safely at least enough to get by, because they're not going to let you do it anymore. They're telling you to go ahead and just pull the reins out. I mean, come on. The one in, what was it, in California, John? I mean, you was talking about it for the broadcast just yesterday, I think. It was coming. I think it was California. I think the train was coming. The train was out of control, and the boys jumped. From what I'm reporting, the reports of it, they jumped off the train. I'd be like this, last man down, it's time to crack. I'd be trying everything in my power to get that thing to stop. I would go all the way to the end. I would not, because I knew the families are involved. If I'm going into towns or whatever, I have to be accountable for my listen, it's not about me, right? If there's people in danger, try your daggone darndest to put your life on the line to get it done. And then there wouldn't be this stuff going on. There's people suffer. If you die, so be it. Because there's people's lives are in danger. I just don't get it anymore. It's almost like it literally is defragmented so bad. Get your Neuralink in, inject it in, and maybe the GPS will tell you how to get up and go to the toilet. I don't know how else to say it. And it gets me. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm in this mode today. I'm getting all.
Be in the mode.
Woo! Rip it up, baby. Rip it up.
In Palestine, man, then they light the chemicals on fire. Even we don't like deadly chemicals on fire. So the government gives the green light to light the chemicals on fire. Why would you do that, knowing it's going to pollute all the land? And these people are not even held accountable. There should be people with pitchforks out there.
And there is. And many of you guys have seen the town halls that they've had over in East Palestine. And like we were talking just before the show, California, North Dakota, there's just another derailment. And you've got articles popping out of the Associated Press. Who trusts the Associated Press here? Anybody? But they're telling this is a normal occurrence. A normal occurrence, what I used to hear growing up, and of course, being around the railroad, is cars running over the tracks and then somebody, being murdered. But when you look at their own numbers in 1993 all the way up to 2019, there's a lot of them that's not even being reported, right? Because of lobbyists that lobby these representatives and corrupt senators, and they give them money, and then these stories disappear because the spider web of evil is incredible. It's incredible it's almost they are so detailed in how they cover up their tracks, but they can never cover up the money. They can never cover up the names and bodies that they leave behind. When it comes to these derailments and the toxicity that we just recently was made aware of, thanks to media making a mistake telling people about it, and because they tried to squash it. Do you guys remember that? Mm-hmm. When it first happened, they seriously, literally tried to squash it, and they couldn't contain it because of who? Independent journalists. People on the ground with phones. And so they get this attention, and now I'm finding out half the stuff they're transporting across the nation just by doing a little digging is illegal by their own standards. And how do they get away with it? You follow the money. You look at the representatives. You look at the senators that they're pocketing this money, and it gets hushed because they're married to. And nobody ever looks at this stuff at your politicians, and everybody's harping on Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump right now. But let's just say something. If you look at who DeSantis is married to, he's married to a media mogul. Okay, so go figure. This is a corporation, right-hand path, left-hand path. And right now they're getting bold by killing people, by destroying farmlands, the wildlife, the fish, and anything down that Ohio. If you look at DARPA and HARP and where the United States has been hit as of late with this weather that is iffy for this time of year, and they're blaming climate change, but telling you at the same time, I can buy a jet because I offset it with this, that, and the other. Again, people, I cannot understand for the life of me how common sense has just disappeared in this nation. That idiocy and foolishness is allowed to run rampant. And it's killing people. It's literally killing Americans. Being complacent or lazy in it.
Yeah,
no common sense, man.
It just, oh man, guys, I could talk all day on this, man. Look, it's like Dan, like you just said, Dan, just incompetent, complacent, like both of you, what you're saying. It's just, look, this is where I always get down to the grind on it. If the Indian culture, if they was so indigenous, how did they survive and how did God allow them to even live? Right?
Exactly.
If they could go out and take a concrete block and carve it into a spear or whatever, that's what I'm talking about today. Get your head out of your rear end and dig up. Don't take the tree down and start manufacturing. We can't be. You know what I'm saying? Get the tire. Use the tire. If the truck don't work, take the tire and the rim. Take the tire off. Use it as a toilet. I mean, get it together. Take the doors off. Use them as shields.
Just like Brian did. Brian did it. He took the milk truck to use it for a bathroom when he had to go poop.
Well, let me tell you a story about that. I'll tell you how disgusting some of my old coworkers. They used to take, after they got done with all their egg boxes, y'all want to hear something on the Rip It channel? They'd be like this. They'd be out in the middle of Jackson County or out there in the middle of the woods where there's no porta potty or anything. They make their own customized porta potty. They literally take, if they did have a box, praise God, they wouldn't throw their egg boxes away after they delivered. No joke. One of the most disgusting milkman stories you ever hear. They would literally shut the back of the door and squat in a lovely egg box and use the bathroom. And no joke. And then you'd be so courteous to throw it at the next Dollar General they drop in. They dump it in the dumpster. So that did happen. I seen that with my own eyes, and it's the most grotesque story of a milkman life. But there you go. You heard on Rip It. You just can't make this stuff up. And Josh was texting me as we speak in the last few minutes, and he wants me to tell about the story about my truck being on fire one time. And
well, bring him on. Can you add him?
I don't know if I can add him or not. The way the template's on here.
Well, I mean, if you can put him on there, if he wants to come on, I'd like to hear his version of you telling him that story.
Well, anyways,
he thinks it's so. No, Joshua Watts thinks it's funny, or he wouldn't have mentioned it, right? And he wants you to tell it, but you've told it already. I'd like to hear somebody that's heard it. You know that thing where you pass on a story and it changes with each person that tells it.
No.
I want to hear Joshua.
Well, I'll tell you the out of the horse's mouth here. So, no joke.
Oh, Joshua. He let you off the hook, dude.
Yeah,
He's letting you off the hook.
No, I love Joshua.
We'll be in the hot seat.
But no, y'all heard it first here on Rip It. Milkmen in this region can not somehow. They're most intelligent men you ever met, but sometimes they do really, really ignorant crap. Literally. Like I said, not milk crates, but milk box or egg boxes. That's disgusting. I listened. It would look, that's not going to happen. Okay. So anyway, here's the point.
Okay.
So we're getting off the rails, really. We're getting off the track here.
No, that's Rip It, dude.
Yeah,
we talked about derailment. We'll probably come back to it in a minute.
Well, anyways, look, this is just what it is. Okay. When I was a kid and I had my first job, If you couldn't count the money off, you couldn't be behind the cash register. Okay, back then the cash register didn't tell you how much change you get back. If you couldn't be attainable, if you couldn't attain it, if somebody gave you $100 to make the change, you shouldn't be behind the cash register. So you be a bag boy or something else that you could be achieving. I'm not putting everybody down. You can still do things. Remove yourself if it's unsafe. Remove yourself and do something else to be proactive and productive for whatever occupation or company that you are tied to. Right? Do the best you can. Be accountable. Do something. I don't care if it's mop the bug. I don't care if it's clean the toilet. Throw the garbage away that the milkman throws poopy milk crate boxes. If you have to sling the crap, do it. I mean, here's the thing. Use logic. This is where I'm at. So what I was mentioning earlier about the Indian culture, they wasn't indigenous. There's nothing wrong with them. They had me and John, Dan, even with all three of us to get together coming up for next couple weeks. If we start taking our tools and chisels and we start chiseling something at John's house, we'd come up with something for a while, but we would have carpal tunnel by it's all said and done. I already do, but carpal tunnel, and we'd probably be, if we took a piece of granite and started carving some kind of, Rip It logo and we put it in the middle of the woods, there ain't gonna be nobody go and find that. It's just gonna be trash. These Indians knew longitude, latitude, they knew anything about the sun, the stars, the moon. They had everything mapped out. They was intelligent people. So what I'm saying, that genetics are in us. We are not stupid. We have been led astray by academia and these ignorant excuses for people to come up and show up and say, yeah, I'm in power. It's like me, literally. Me, John, Dan, Joshua, we go up and we come to my town and say, hey, what are we going to do about this? This is literally on an archaeology standpoint or the topography or the mapping. So what are we going to do about it? No, sir, we can't talk about it. No, yes, we can. No, we shall talk about this. I have the data. No. That's all. What? See, and guess what? That person's worried about losing their job. That's all it is. That's all it is. And they don't want to accept the truth, and they want to be ignorant to everything that comes. They just want to say, well, is it time for lunch or whatever the fact? Is that guy crazy? Is that milkman crazy? That broken down milkman crazy? He was actually thinking too much. I've had that conversation with people before. Brian, you're thinking, why would you take the initiative? I don't care. I don't get paid. What? If you're in,
sing one of your songs, man.
Huh? What is it?
I think you bust out with one, the guitar there with the straw in your hat and everything.
The guitar.
The milkman song.
Guitar.
Go ahead. I can't talk no more after Dan did that. The guitar. Go ahead, John. I can't talk no more after that. Thank you, Dan.
Well, you're talking about accountability, right? And for those who are walking in the Holy Spirit with Jesus Christ right now, accountability is everything to you guys. And we're not saying anything, we're talking to the choir, but one of the things that I've learned over the years about accountability and taking it is it's the difference between success and failure. It is the literal difference between success and failure. And that means in just about everything you do, it's a choice. It's our choice to follow Jesus Christ. It's our choice to be covered in his blood. And that is key for all of us. However, every day we're making choices. And the more we take accountability for our actions and what we do, we're not spectators anymore. We're out there. We're doing things. And that is what walking in the Spirit means. We are go-getters. Nothing stops us. And it is the Holy Spirit that drives us. Getting back to that, the church has the modern church, I should say, has fallen down horribly on this, the accountability. And God is all about holding each and every one of us singularly accountable. And in our experiences, in Brian's experience, he just shared one with Dan and with you guys, we all have experiences that he's taken us through. But what he's taught us is to be accountable, to be accountable, because whatever happened to me in my childhood, I can't blame my parents. I can no longer blame them. I can work through it and whatever happened. But as an adult, I either choose to allow it to eat me from the inside out, or I choose to fight it and I choose to overcome it. And I choose to do that through the only healer, who is Jesus Christ. And in today's society, with guys like this and Joshua Watts and FOJC and John over at Now UCTV and you guys, accountability means a lot to us. But when you try to hold a world to it, you're going to get all kinds of backlash and all the stuff that you guys can tell us in testimonies and what they do to and say to us. But the bottom line is enough is enough. I'm tired of being lied to, tired of being censored for speaking just the simple truth. Now, in this discussion, we talked about LGBTQ, we talked about Pete Buttigieg, we talked about men wanting to be women and women wanting to be men, but nothing derogatory is stated out of this. But after this show, I guarantee you, Brian's going to get, what Dan and I are seriously used to: strike, shadowed, something, because common sense and accountability are dead in this country.
Got that right.
For the exception of people who are literally trying and doing their best and following Messiah. And outside of that, you are breaking his law.
Yeah. I mean, amen, John. It's just, I didn't mean to go on a big rant, but I just had to, guys. It just all started feeling
it inspired me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, look, I can't see like I used to. Seriously. I try my darndest to just walk around here and do my daily life, and then there's all this, there's this suppression of the adversary on the standpoint of just idiocracy when it comes to even somebody trying to do their job. I don't want to say too much, just to try to get some new glasses forged or whatever whatever the scenario is, and it's like you come across some people saying, "Oh, I don't understand what." How long is it? Why has it taken us so long to do this? Because nobody cares. Brian, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry too. And have you ever heard the old saying, kicking the can down the road? That's what's happening to me. Can't work no more, and I'm being delegated with a carrot over top of my head. And then, granted, I was going to say real quick, Dan knows about it, I haven't said it to John, when the winds come by and they blow your roof off, and you don't have any balance like you used to. Whoa, hang on.
Time out. Brian. Before you tell this story, tell the folks out there the first thing I texted you when you told me you had a guy out there looking at your roof. What did I ask you?
Did you see?
I texted it to you.
Yeah, did you see his crack?
Did you see his butt crack?
I didn't see. He was a very professional gentleman.
Well, Brian didn't know how to take that guy. He's like, no, and it's a blessing I didn't.
It was a blessing.
Oh, never mind. It's quirky. Go ahead.
No, I didn't see any butt cracks.
But I did. I asked him.
I didn't see any butt cracks. But after I didn't get a chance to tell you, there was something that was quoted to me that's unattainable. So the insurance and all that is just one big roller coaster ride. But I'm not going to get into too much of the personal stuff. There's just too much to be obtainable. Okay, the last week on Dan Bedoni's show on the spiritual warfare, the plumbing's messed up. I'm working on trying to figure all that out still, and then we have this. So my point is, if it was,
are you plumbing right now?
No, I'm not plumbing.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying
He's playing Mario Luigi.
No, I'm not playing.
He's got Mario Luigi over there.
It's me, Mario. But I'm not doing. No, there's no. We're talking about earlier. We was talking about poopy. Well, it used to be boxes that held 15, 12 dozen in a box, and somebody used the bathroom in it. Anyways, let's continue on, move on. So my point is, all this stuff's happening. If it was Brian back in 2019, before I got hurt, I promise you, because the unattainable amount that was told to me, there's a couple $1,000 that I'm missing to fix this roof. I promise you, I would have looked at that man or called him, whatever, days later and say, "Sir, can you order the parts?"
Right.
Because guess what? This old boy is going to get on the roof, and I'm going to do the best I can. Because
dude, don't get on the roof.
No, I'm not. I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about in 2023. I'm talking about if it's 2019 and this happened before I got hurt.
Okay.
I'd be like, Brian, you're going to get on the roof and fix it. See, I can't do it no more, because if I do, you won't be seeing me anymore.
That'd be a great video. Me and Dan, well, Dan's down here. We'll try to talk you off the roof.
No, You'll see me go to heaven. No, you'll see me literally leave the body. Like,
Dan will be the negotiator.
You'll see.
Come on down, Brian. It's
and
not worth it.
I'll communicate back to the Puritan barn what's happening at Theresa's house while Dan is completing negotiations, trying to talk you down from the roof.
No, listen.
It's not worth it, man. We'll stock up some milk crates to get you down.
No, you don't understand. If I get just two steps on the ladder, I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna be hitting something. Yeah.
We'll get Joshua Watts to really do a really good music video to it as Dan's negotiating with you. Dan will have some Navy SEAL glasses on. He'll be in his attire, talking to you serious and carefully and lovingly, trying to talk you down the ladder.
I'll be with the megaphone. It's not worth it, Brian.
No. No. No, you might as well.
Brian's up there yelling, insurance companies and roofers, they're...
I'm telling you, no, if it was 2023, Brian, no, y'all wouldn't even have a chance to get me on there. I'd fall over. I can barely stand. I have to have a cane, too. I have a cane when I'm walking around outside. I mean, an assistant, so with a cane. So there's no way. I mean, literally... you'll be hearing the song that was played that I referenced on Spiritual Warfare Friday. We'd be letting the bodies hit the floor. Like, it literally would be hitting the floor and bouncing. I mean, there would be nothing left. I mean...
You know that cane? Speaking of your cane, it's a really cool cane. And, man, you're a trooper. But I was looking at it. I was like, man, you could get a mini cow prodder, right? One of those mini cow prodders and put at the end of that cane and just, zzz, when you have to.
Well,
like poke somebody, zzz, wake them up.
It's got a retracting
reach.
It's got a retracting thing. It's got this little cylinder inside of it where it's got this little wire band that it tracks. You could stick something inside.
Literally, that's what I thought, Dan, when I saw him this Sunday. Is like, I needed to see him on Rip It Business and stuff, but I was looking at his cane. I should have told you when I saw it. I was like, you need a cow prodder for that thing, man. Electric shock at the end of that cane. Somebody's in line at the grocery store trying to buy one of those tickets, and then they buy 50 of them, and they can't figure out which 3 numbers they want to pick for the pick 3. You can't figure out 4, and then it's an hour. Zip. That's rude. Move aside. Get out of the way. What? You wouldn't do it?
Oh.
Would you do it?
Listen. Oh, man, it reminds me of another milkman story. So, yeah, there's just so many to talk about. We could do like a whole 20, 30 shows just on
I was kind of hoping it would inspire one.
It did.
I thought about it.
So,
huh?
when I'm negotiating and talk them down, it's like somebody that wants to talk to you, and then the old lady pulls up with the poopy diaper.
Oh, man.
Brian, I used to drive you to the center.
Oh, man. No, listen. Tomorrow.
Joshua Watts called you out, Brian. He said you would do it if you had a cow prodder at the end of your cane.
No. Well, I will tell you this,
Brian.
No, I wouldn't do the cow prodder. Oh well.
What about?
Go ahead.
It's not going to shock them into next year. It's not going to send them off into next week. It just gives them a nice little wake up call. Hey, move. Quit being rude. Quit being rude. My parents used to swat me on the butt every once in a while. I think society needs that from us. Act right, please. Have some morals.
One time, this is really kind of off the subject, but talking about being on the defense, I had a bunch of milk on the bed of on the back of my lift gate, so I'm offsetting it with my dolly, right? I'm in a gas station, and I'm trying to pull it in, and I'm flying. I mean, I'm just like moving as fast. You guys ought to see me back then, man. I was just, I could lift. I mean, dang it, I could lift 400. I mean, I was just, dude, I could, you know what I'm saying? I mean, for my small frame, dude, I could get it done, man. Speed, like. But anyways, one day I was at a gas station, and there was these people roll up in a car, and they start stealing my milk off the back of my truck. I throw my I throw my dolly down, or I get my dolly. I said, get it, boy, steal all of it, so I won't have to deliver none of it. I said, take it all. And then I even asked him, I said, can I put it in the back for you? I said, pop the truck. And that guy said, what'd you say? I said, pop the truck. I said, I'll put the whole truck in there. I said, you won't make it out of the parking lot with all that weight. I said, it'll pop your tires, boy. And he said some very choice words, which I won't repeat on here because I try to keep it PG, but yeah, we had all kinds of experiences like that, but yeah, the milk, just a little electric shock or anything like that would have come in handy back then. That would have probably came in handy. There was a lot of near-death experiences, especially because you go out on the route. If I had all that video, John and Dan, we would have enough content. It would be like a Duck Dynasty narrative. We'd be selling milk jugs and milk bottles and everything. instead of duck calls and stuff like that, it'd be sell a tire or sell a milk crate box to poop in. I don't know, whatever. It'd be off the chain, man. Porta potties, whatever.
I say we to help raise money for Brian's house. We should sell autographed milk jugs.
Autographed milk jugs. I don't know.
Y'all go ahead. I'll stop talking. Y'all go ahead.
Water. I'm trying to fathom water. What'd you say, Dan?
Sell autographed milk jugs.
Autographed milk jugs. You know, that's
Brian
an idea.
Reese. Visual disturbance milk jugs.
Have visual disturbance milk line.
Oh,
2%, 1%, and let's just throw silk milk in there.
No,
Visual disturbance silk milk.
Well, we do. We might want to make sure it's organic whole milk. If you get
Yes.
you get chocolate milk, we'll have to come up with a chocolate cow, like literally a chocolate milk cow. They make those in Kentucky. That's what I was told, but that doesn't exist.
I tell you what. I grew up in the area that I'm living in now, and I was talking to an old friend of mine, Freemason. I can't believe he talked to me after he invited me, and I denied. I ain't going ever, dude. I don't care who you know. And he didn't know how to quite take that. Hadn't heard from him like in 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, hey, what you doing? Nothing. What you doing? I'm not going to tell him anything. But anyways, he was telling me about his family, and they're the last dairy farm in this county, which is unheard of because as a kid growing up, we'd do the tobacco fields. We'd disc every summer. We'd plant tobacco. We'd hang it, cut it. We did the corn all the way through. That's what got me through high school, right? That's when we were working and you could get a job. And there was dairy farms everywhere, and they're the only ones left. And I thought, man, that is wild. And you think, and you read these articles about Bill Gates and leadership and the Chinese buying all these farms. And when it hits home, when it hits finally close to your thing, this visual disturbance milk line, if it's organic, I'm going to buy it. Because it's locally owned, but that's starting to disappear in the United States.
Absolutely, I agree, John. And then that's all. And that in there's a big distributing place is Walmart, right?
Yeah.
That's what. And see, that started taking a damper on actually my business locally down here. Whenever I was working, it took a big hit when it comes to our big box stores and whatnot, and all of our, even our small, just small gas stations, etc. There was a lot of people converting over for the convenience factor, the bulk narrative, which I'll tell you a little secret, organic. If you're going to drink milk, organic whole milk. Do not get the 1%, 2% fat free. Don't get any of that. There's a process. They strip it. There's a chemical. I can't remember it off the top of my head. They strip the 2% and it turns it blue. Or excuse me, it strips it to where it has to convert it to this blue like chemical consistency, and then it turns itself back to white, and then it actually extracts the nutrients from the Yeah, it's pretty sick.
I just want to say I don't drink milk anymore. I just don't. Yeah. But biologically, and I'm being dangerous by saying that word biologically on YouTube. I mean, it's dangerous for me to say that, but biologically, milk is pus. Think about this.
I know what you're saying.
Milk is pus. P-U-S-S. Pus.
I drink almond milk.
You do almond milk? Is any good?
Vanilla almond milk. I love it.
And I'm not saying you're not supposed to drink it. I'm just saying because of that, it's like kombucha to me. I can't do it. I can't. No, kombucha doesn't sound right, and pus doesn't sound right to me, so I'm not going to drink it. I'm not saying I'm not down in anybody that does. I think it's awesome if it strengthens your bones and gives you the nutrients, and it does. It has those attributes, but when I think about what literally it is, I can't put it in my mouth. I just can't. But is almond real milk?
No, it's from almonds. It's like liquefied or something. I don't know how they do it.
So it's made out of almonds. I think Patty made almond milk before. I know I didn't try it.
It's very good. You'll love it.
There's some certain things I can't say on here. So,
biological is one of them.
Well, there's just certain things I can't say. I'll say just 2 words, and this whole channel just goes down.
What happens? Say them. Go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
It's rip it.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it. Yeah, seriously.
Channel.
Huh?
We'll just make another channel.
Ooh.
We'll go to Rumble.
Ooh.
We'll go to Rumble, and you can say those 2 words over there. Can you give us a hint? Can we play like Let's guessing game.
Okay, I got one. It's
Okay.
a very well, I would call it a very horrible channel that you can buy and subscribe to. It's starts with a C, and the last three letters is Max. So it's you can get it with stars.
Starts with
Yeah.
a C
Yeah,
and
Showtime.
ends with a Max.
Yeah, yeah.
Guys in the chat room, help us out. What is that?
So if you just replace all that and kind of like use your Kentucky flavor voice with it, and you replace and you say replace the C with the S, and then you put a little cinnamon up in there, throw cinnamon in the mix. There you go. You feel me? You throw that little flavor in it, and when you start looking at that, get back with me when you start thinking about production situations and distributing
So
places.
it's a big streaming platform.
No. This is actually something that
It's a YouTube channel.
No, not a YouTube channel. It's a let's just say it's a
Cinemax.
what? Shh. Don't say that.
Cinemax.
Shh.
Well, I mean, he's right.
No, it's
I
a
see
little
that DC
flavor,
got it,
a little
Joshua
a little
got it.
flavor.
Who
a
else
little-
is in there getting it?
Yeah, a little flavor for a little flavor. Yeah, it's a little flavoring. Yeah, it's a
So
little.
what is it? I don't know what this is. What is it? I've never seen this. What is?
Well, I
what
gotta
is-
do. I gotta
What
do.
is the Sin
Ugh.
IMAX? What is that?
I gotta
What is it?
do it in code again on Rip It. This is coding. This is encrypted language here.
It
Let's
just
say,
sounds so fruity. I'm gonna go watch.
I know you
Cinemax
know this,
now.
John. You're just trying
I
to mess
can't
with
help. I want to go see Cinemax now. Can I go watch this?
No, it's let's just say all roads lead back on this narrative to Switzerland and our lovely Hadron Collider that we have, our facility up there that's doing nefarious things. How about that?
Is that near Belgium? Did you just say Belgium?
I didn't say Belgium.
What did you say?
It make you
Switzerland,
belch.
right?
It'll make you belch if you. I mean, if you learn this knowledge, you'll be belching, and then all of a sudden, gurgitating. You'll be.
Half the things we're saying right now has already got us in trouble, and this is what our second actually little thing we're doing on Rip It. Looking forward to doing a whole lot more of these.
Oh,
Sporadic. And guys, and I want you guys to know, when we put up a derailment, of course that's what's in the news. We're going to be talking about it. It's tragic what's happening to folks on the ground there, what's happening to folks hundreds of miles down rivers and in the airs, and we're with you. We see what you're seeing, and we're tired of it. And Rip It's one of those places we could come and rant, and if YouTube does something, Brian, myself, and Dan, we're going to just march our little heinies over to Rumble and keep it over there. But until then, we're going to give them every kind of two ways, but sideways. We're going to speak the truth. We're going to do it as tactfully as possible. Yes. And then not so much. It's amazing what we've seen the last 3 years. Incredible that the Bibles that we are reading, God's word can be trusted. And what we're seeing, he's already told us what's coming, and it's happening in front of us. And if you're out there seeking him right now, going, there's so many paths and so many roads, let me tell you right now, there's only but one way to the living God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And you can't have it through any of these channels or vicariously through your pastor, your minister, or vicariously through MSNBC, because they're going to tell you everything you don't need in your life to function. What you need in your life to function is God's word, and to stand on the mountain of right. And to do that, you have to be in obedience. And you'll be tossed to and fro. You'll get angry at these stories. You might get angry at something Dan said or Brian said or I've said. I say good. The fire is in the pit of your stomach, and you're listening to the Holy Spirit. And when you do, life is better. As you can see the curses going on outside your door and on your screens, life is better where you're at, because you're in tune and you're walking with the living God, and you're doing it his way. And if it's contrary to the world's, then you know you're doing it right. Derailments, seeding the air, what they put in our water, how they use MK Ultra up on these screens, Disney, streaming industries, in this cinema. I never heard of this until today.
Which Cinemax?
Yeah, what is that?
Are we still gonna go there, guys?
Yeah, what is that? Hey, you brought it up.
Oh man. Oh
you
goodness.
brought it up.
Oh man. So anyways, there's people in the chat saying, yeah, Brian, Dan, and John are gonna get you, you know what, the little STRIKE. God bless you guys. But anyways.
Let me tell you something about that.
Especially after you're throwing the visual, you know what, out there 5 seconds. Good job, Dan.
Well, the first of us to go was, I think, in 2019 at the end or in the middle. FOJC Radio YouTube channel was taken down. The first blow. Then you go on for another year. Dan is beginning to cover what matters in the news, and then you see Truth Radio Show taken down. How many subscribers did you have at that time? 20,000?
Yeah.
20,000 of you guys took the time to hit the button and to follow Dan and to support Dan in a battle that, frankly, it looks unwinnable unless you're walking with him, and he does. And then the cutting edge gets taken down. It's a crazy roller coaster ride, but by goodness, Brian, Cinemax, no Cinemax, LGBTQ, no LGBTQ, we're going to speak it no matter what. And if they do something to us here, YouTube, I could care less. I thank you for the platform. I thank you for the ability to speak to people like this, to talk about accountability, to talk about responsibility, to talk about not being snowballed by your lies and by what you censor. We'll just take our heinies to Rumble. But not today. Not today.
So what's Cinemax now?
Yeah, what is Cinemax?
Are we still on that again? I thought I was going to divert away from that. I thought we was going to continue on another topic.
Dan's a bulldog.
Oh man,
he's not going to let go of that.
This is going to be bad. I can't wait till I get to. Yeah, we're going to all get together. It's going to be. Oh man, we won't stop talking for days. But anyways, so let's just tell you. I'll just tell you what I know. It's bad. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go. So this whole narrative with this word, it leads back to a company that was made. I think it was the origins of it was 1876, maybe some of that time frame, and then they changed the name like they do on everything else. So it's to do with the food industry. So that's consumption of all we're talking about sodas, etc., everything, right?
And this has to do with Cinemax, right?
Yeah. It's just an ingredients to something that kind of goes along with the topics we was talking about earlier. And let's just say blood, and that's all I'm going to say. Because I think y'all can understand it past that point. And then...
Yeah, I do. I do. I understand.
And it's Dan, so bad. Yeah.
That's blatantly trying to get us in trouble on our first show.
Yeah,
Dan.
good job.
We can't let Brian say that.
Yeah,
today.
Good job, Dan. No,
I may talk. I'm sitting over here barking. You tell it, and then wait a minute. Algorithm. It's not a human being, so we don't give a human being the satisfaction to be a snowflake to do the delete button on it. To be an algorithm. That's not worth it. We want to make an individual think, literally. So we'll hold that.
Well, Joshua keeps telling me to talk about the fire story. Do y'all have time? Because Dan looks like he's about to pass out. But do y'all have time to tell the fire story?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I'm ready.
So
I was wanting to hear Joshua tell it.
Okay, well, I'll tell it, and then Joshua will tell his interpretation of it whenever we side by side.
Well, you're, like you said, the horse's mouth.
So, I used to listen to a lot of secular music and stuff like that. So this is going to be. I'm just going to kind of recap how this all situation. And I used to drive a truck that I knew it was going to go to DEFCON 5 one day, and then I reported it to everybody, all my superiors.
DEFCON 5.
Yeah,
bad situation.
Yeah,
right?
Bad situation. And I would drive it, man, and be driving. And just have random music playing in my head. I mean, working my job, worried about getting shot or, seeing. I mean, guys, we could do a whole comedy on just the milk life, but worried about all the just to maintain the vehicle, just to get the milk into the store was like an act of God. But literally, between the dollies, break-in or whatever, you have to be self-efficient and independent on your own. You have to understand that this is not an occupation for everybody. Like it'll break you.
I really never thought being a milkman would have a hazard quasi to it, but after getting to know you, and the routes that you took, dude.
Yeah, and then
wow, you dealt with a whole bunch.
Well, it sucks because I hate to use that language, but unfortunately, here we are today. Brain injury, eye issues, and balance issues. But that's another thing. We don't want to get topic on that. But we'll get back on this fire truck.
I turned 54 and I started having those issues. I was just saying.
Well, let's get
like weird.
Yeah. Did you fall off a truck?
No, not like you.
Okay.
I fell out of bed though.
You fell off of bed.
Yeah.
You didn't have milk. You didn't have jugs of milk hit you in the head.
No, it's just my knees locked up. I'm like, what is this?
Oh. Yeah. But anyways, the fire truck.
They had chairs hit me in the head, steel chairs.
Oh. Well,
see, this is why we want Joshua Wash to tell us, because when Brian tells it, I've got like 30 questions while he's telling me the story, because it's how does this happen to somebody? It happens to Brian.
Anyways, I'm driving. I see smoke coming out of it, and I just give it some gas, and I'm just do my thing and see smoke a little come out the side of it, and I'm driving around just having a good time. And I remember singing like Eric Church songs. Smoke a little smoke, stuff like that.
You're oblivious.
Yeah. No, not oblivious. I'm just like, yes, like, let's do this thing, I do it the milkman way, because they ain't going to help me. I'm going to die today, that kind of thing. And,
how do you do this, man?
Yeah. And, it was just smoke coming out all the time. And I knew exactly where it was coming from, the manifold and out the back. And then there was some issues with the turbos. There's I knew exactly what was wrong with it. You have to know the ins and outs of a milk truck.
Your milk truck had a turbo?
It's kind of strange.
Did it sound like a squirrel?
No, it's not. No, it's not Too Fast, Too Furious. It's not Vin Diesel style, man. It's just anyway.
That would have been
cool. Welcome to the milk.
Did you drift around corners?
That would have been cool.
Yeah, but here's one. It's like like the Fast and Furious with Paul Walker. It's been a long day without you, my friend. That song. To see you again.
Did he die?
Well, I don't know. MK Ultra programming, according to QAnon, it's some type. He's uplift. He's according to what these people do. I couldn't imagine. God bless the family, because they're, these people. I really do agree that there was a horrible accident, like something happened to him. But there's these people that take this stuff to a whole nother level and say this man is still living and all this stuff. It's so bad, so bad. But anyways, fire truck. And I remember singing a song that called me the fireman. That's my name. And I'm sitting there, smoke coming out, and
your truck was on fire, but it was the turbocharged.
Well, no, you could get it to stop. Like as long as you could get it to stop, and you knew that you couldn't leave it running for so long after you said stop. So you're like, let her cool off, baby. And I'd be over praying over it. I was like, you know what, God, if she wanted it to blow up, just let her go. Then I'd sit there and hold it. I was like, just pray the air brakes don't fail. You know what I mean? Because there's certain lines and stuff, Yeah. So you have two tanks on both sides. And I'm sitting there smoking, I'm just like, singing all kinds of country songs, all kinds of just horrible songs in my head, because I'm thinking, no telling what's going to happen from this event. So one day, I'm just driving and, pull. So we have to get fuel, right? We have to get fuel. And then, so this went on for days, right? And I pull up one day. There's a guy I got to know really well, and he's an old Marine. He pulls up. He goes, "How you doing, Brian?" Like that. I said, "Hey, bud." Hey, I won't say his name on air, but I said, "Hey, man, how's it going?" We got to know each other real well. And he goes, he goes and gets his windshield wiper cleaner and all this stuff, and goes to the truck and maintain, because we rent these through this company. And he goes, "Can you turn your truck off?" I was like, what's going on, Bruce? He said, "You're on fire." "Can you turn your truck off?" I said, "Is it on fire?" He said, "Yeah, we got flames coming. Can you turn it off before we blow it up?" Because he can't put the fuel in. He's getting ready to pull the fuel in. I said, "Is it?" I said his name. I said, "Is it on fire? Is it?" He said, "Yes, sir. It's on fire. Can you?" I said, "Well, you think I'll be able to do the rest of my route?" "Well, I don't know." I said, "Well, I've been driving for a few days." And he goes, I said, you think will you fill my truck? He said, yeah, if we can get it to stop, start, it's really, you can cook a burger, he's just joking. He's like, seriously though, Brian, turn it off. And I said, all right then. I turned it off and said, there, you can hear it. He's.
So, were you stuck there? I mean, did the truck break down? Was it too bad? Did you continue on your milk route?
he said, I got you right. I got you squared away, buddy. He said, just be careful out there. I said, I've reported, I promise. I've reported a bunch of times. He's like, man, I don't know. We just ain't got to spare nothing. And I was like, well, I'll just keep driving till the wheels fall off. He said, well, just be careful. Hopefully don't ignite. So I said, just fill it up. Just give it all I got. So I started back up. It's smoking coming out the side. He goes, it ain't on fire now. I said, that's good. And I said, here's my technique. I said, once I get up on the interstate, it starts to blow the wind a little bit better. So the oxygen, so it's good. If you go too slow, it won't. I'm not kidding you. This happened. So I was just like, you know what, God, you just can't make this stuff up. And I just drove on, got about my merry way. And then I reported it. They finally fixed it. But here's the thing. They took it all apart. They stripped it. They took the whole thing apart after it all said and done. I had to wait months to get it back. And then when I get it back, like the brakes started failing, all kinds of chemicals and gas and air, carbon dioxide coming into the inside it was just horrible, man. Horrible.
So did that milk company have an outside source where you guys took your trucks to get worked on?
Yeah, that was the
Did you make somebody mad at that facility, Brian?
No. Look,
You caught their truck on fire, dude.
No,
and you were oblivious.
No, it's not their. I told them. That's the problem. I kept telling them.
Well,
it's like, no.
You were accountable. You are an accountable person.
Yeah,
right?
I kept
But
driving.
at the same time, the guys at the shop are getting tired of Brian bringing in something because he wasn't paying attention to the back of the truck being on fire.
Well,
that's something to pay attention to.
Well, I kept telling them. I said, this is unsafe. No, we ain't got nothing else. You're just going to keep driving it. I said, it's going to die. I'm going to die in this truck. And
Brian, the human hot dog.
Well,
it's like non-pork. Let's just say turkey dog.
Turkey dog.
Baked in his own milk truck.
But
that ain't cool.
Well, listen, when he looks at you in a Marine standpoint, when he served a Marine, he's a Marine, he goes, turn your truck off for me. He's real serious. And he said, you're on fire. I said, that's good, buddy. And
is it a big enough truck that has a fire extinguisher inside?
Well, yeah. But here's the thing, you're gonna love this.
Did you use it?
No.
Point it?
No. Listen to this.
Squeeze the trigger.
The fire extinguisher, we had them, but they wasn't upkept with maintenance. Okay, they was expired like everything else.
Was out of date.
Yeah, everything's expired.
They put you in a death trap.
No, everything's expired, man. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
They literally put you in a death trap.
Look, all they cared about was hit the dock at the facility, pull the stuff off, make some money, and I don't care if the floorboard's out. And that literally that is an exact quote. Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah, because guess what? They would tell me that I couldn't get paid, I was gonna starve, all this stuff. All this crap. I'm not gonna go to.
That's not fair.
No,
that is so unfair.
No.
The way a lot of companies, a lot of the folks that are watching today, have to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, then I moved to another company, a steel milk company, but that's not. I almost say that's the one that I eventually ended up getting hurt on. That's all we're going to say on here because I'm still dealing with all that stuff. It's personal stuff, but
yeah,
what I'm getting at, it's I'm still dealing with all that, but yeah. So look, when you see a milkman, please give him respect. Open the door for him, please, for the love of everything. I mean, no joke. No joke.
We're going to start the Brian Reese Foundation for the milk department. Have your poster on every wall in the milk company.
It sounds too derogatory because you got the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You've got the Bill and Hillary Clinton Foundation.
Oh,
you got Schwab's and Ari's foundations and all these crazy blokes that we've been talking about destroying our economy and our nation as a whole, is in public schools and churches and whatnot. But not only that, they're running our companies, not keeping up specs on trucks, and it just goes right to it. It may be a funny story, and I'm thankful that God saw you through it, right? That you didn't have 30, 50% burns all over your body.
Yeah, no joke.
Because somebody at your company thought your body's just a chassis and a number. And if I can get him out there in this truck, he's going to deliver product and I make money and I just give him this much. And then I threaten him, right? I threaten him by saying, if you don't keep your job. You can't feed your family. I hate that. I hate when that happens. And it happens all too frequently in the United States because these companies, for whatever you want to think about it, and the local principalities, the local governments, and the federal governments are not about local businesses, not about, they're about the bigger businesses and giving them tax incentives and having their lobbyists go into their back pockets so they can get away with some of the EPA stuff that's supposed to keep checks on products that we're provided for. And then they don't keep their workers safe. In this country, at a certain time, unions were needed. Unions were needed. And then we got to a more modern, where unions and corporations started catching up, with the pay in the United States, and unions started to become more corrupt because they couldn't hold on to their people. And now they threaten them. If you don't pay the due, you don't get protected. You don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have lawyers. I mean, it's a rigmarole. Nowadays, it's looking like people stand up for themselves. There's no recourse in a system that there's no justice, right? We're seeing that across the board in the United States. There's pockets of people with common sense that are passing laws that make sense, but that's not the majority. And if anybody's waking up to the fact that Brian's story right there, that's happening every single day to somebody that we know. And they're not saying a word because they're afraid that they can't feed their family, afraid that they can't get their insurance so that their child gets the medicine they need. And this is happening, and there's no recourse for us.
Absolutely, John. And see, real quick, this is just to throw back in there. All the things that happened to the event that happened to me getting hurt, I reported these things. These things happened. These things. We're running stuff that's bad. The equipment's bad, and then it malfunctioning, and here we are. It's so just for the record, just throwing it out there, but it stinks. It stinks. So if for the record, if those events had not happened in 2019, I would have shredded my body for you to the end. I would have gave it everything. I would have gave it everything to be productive. And to whoever sat on top of the high mountain on the hog up there, I would have gave you all your Beamers, your immaculate trips, whatever you got going on, your Harley Davidson. I would have let you have it all. And you give me five pennies, because I would literally work for nothing. And I've done that. I was that guy. Like, I'd work hard. I really would work hard. I've been geared that way. I was tuned in that way. My family told me no different. Right. To survive. It was a survive. It's just, hey, you going to do this or not, or you're going to perish. That kind of mentality. And then, but I would give you all I had, and now I can't. And I'm in this state where it's mentally, physically, but God bless, I'm still living.
Well, here's the thing, Brian. Right? You might not give your job all you can right now, but what you're doing right now is you're giving God all you can, and that's what matters the most.
Amen, Dan. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
It's important.
You can't top that one. That's the truth.
You can't. No, you can't.
So with these companies and what we've been going through, in your case, and you're not going to talk about it because of what you report and what you got to deal with. And a lot of people, I'll break this down in lay terms from medical, what Brian's dealing with, because he can't say it and he won't. So the insurance companies and the social workers that work behind and help people like Brian, who have had legitimate accidents, legitimate situations that's debilitated aspects of life. Doesn't mean it's debilitated all of his life, but some of it he has to overcome and work through. So what he has to do is jump through hoops through government and the social workers who think they know better than he does, who think they know his ailments when they don't walk in his shoes, don't see out his glasses, but they're making decisions on his behalf. And if he doesn't jump through the hoops, then his family doesn't get help. He doesn't get the help he seeks. And so therefore he gets fallen through the cracks. So there's a frustration there. Then you get the insurance companies, Medicare A, Medicare B, doesn't matter which one it is, or it could be the all-encompassing Obamacare, right? That's turned into something that's insane. But you get these insurance companies and they put a number to something, right? And they have in situations with people like Brian and millions of people across the United States who haven't had an accident, were born this way, who need what government is supposed to do is take care of a populace that can't take care of itself, with a population who is self-sufficient and working every day and paying in so that the government can take care of the person who actually needs it. But that's not happening. So what they make folks like Brian do is jump through hoops and literally threaten him and threaten people like him. Unless you do it this way, unless you sign this, unless you jump this, unless you get in a car and drive an hour one way and one way back and do it, this therapy, he's not given the option to go to somebody else and say, I need a second opinion, because his insurance company knows better than Brian, right? His social worker does the same thing. And so when he complains and when people like that complain, guess what happens? Money disappears. Help disappears because there's no accountability. And especially in the medical complex, we think we got issues with the military complex in the United States. Oh, it's far worse. Far, far worse when it comes to the medical. And it's people who literally need help. But this is what they deal with. And they can't talk about it because of the ramifications. Well, you guys are a bunch of liars. You're thieves. And it's inhumane the way you conduct your business. And you call yourselves health workers, nurses, doctors, social workers, therapists, in a system that is giving people something that makes them sick, something that dies. But the ratio of number of people who die and the people who don't is acceptable to you. Since when? Brian has to deal with this stuff every day, guys. You don't even know it. He doesn't say anything about it. But he is dealing with evil. And he has to, because he needs help in certain situations, not in every area. It doesn't make him less than a man. Let me tell you about this. Doesn't matter what Brian did yesterday to Brian. It doesn't. It matters what Brian does today. Same with Dan, same with any one of you guys. What you do today matters. What you did yesterday doesn't mean doodly squat. You can build on it. But what you do today matters. And people like that in the health industry will make you feel small, make you feel like you can't fight back, give you absolutely just enough so that you keep coming back. And it's not because it's an addiction. It's because I need to see better. I need to think clearly better in certain situations. I need to walk better. I need to grab something better. But if you're not getting to therapy because a social worker's dictating to you the therapy that you need, and they're not a doctor and they don't feel your ailments, then it's a war. A war for the person that's dealing not only with their family and the issue that they got to deal with now in the present. If something happened to me, Dan and Brian, so we went to war and I lost my legs, I would not know how to function without proper therapy, but I would need the right kind for the right, but you don't get that. You get put in a category box and shoved there. It's horrendous what the medical industry in the United States has turned into, and it should be ashamed of itself.
Yeah, just ask the veterans who have to deal with the VA every day. And I've been to the VA, with my uncles and everything, and it's not a pretty sight, man.
Oh, boy. Dan?
Yep.
Man, listen, real quick. Enough talking about me. VA. I'm not going to say much anymore. When you said VA, I went to these places and delivered. They had the gumption to tell me lies there. I said, you giving people food? And when I pull the milk crates are taken off because there's daggone roaches as big as my fist, and they're hissing at me, and I'm over there hitting them with the dolly, and they're not dying? Bull. That's in the cafeteria. Let that settle in. This is where we're at. And the veterans should be they should have gold. Everything should be given. They put their lives in risk. They should give everything. They should have gourmet food. And you got daggone roaches crawling around. You had the nerve to serve it. And it's literally inches away from the prep table. Bull crap. And I'm sitting there slinging crates and crushing them. Right there. Get with it, everybody. This is a joke. It's a joke, man.
Wow.
It's a joke.
So
it's a
leadership in
joke.
the United States
Yeah.
doesn't realize this with our veterans. And we are just coming out of 15 to nearly 16, 17 years of continual war. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't care. It's your opinion, what you think about these things. But with first of Kuwait, with Bush Sr. going in, and then Iraq with the mass destruction of weapons that we were told that wasn't there, and they got washed, the billions of dollars that the Pentagon loses, getting to the point of our leadership and military is that our leadership doesn't realize we've got warriors coming home that are 15 years experienced in war. And most of them, if not all of them, are dealing with serious issues and they're not being taken care of. Now, we've heard this over the years through Vietnam, first in Korea before that, and then the wars before that. And these issues keep rumbling. But now we've got maybe 1% to 2% of those soldiers coming home who are experienced at war and who will not take any crap, right, when it comes to right and wrong. And what leadership in the United States fails to realize is they're going to push a button, and it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to involve every single one of us. So my prayer for the nation is that Father, see the remnant, keep us guarded, keep us well-informed, keep our heads up, keep astute, and situational awareness is what's happening, because one of these blokes are going to go off. And when they do, it's going to be a mess because they are that experienced at war when we are not, right? Except for those who train, and there are those folks who do. And I'm sick and tired of hearing people call other people who train in any kind of skill, whether it's with a weapon, whether it's in self-defense, whether it's economics, whether it's whatever it is, you're called an extremist. And the reason why you're called an extremist is because you have intelligence to know that you're being lied to, and that you have intelligence enough to start doing something about it, because they're not going to do it.
And plus, you have the power to fight back.
They're not going to do it.
And plus, you have the power to fight back. That's why they're afraid of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, it's disgusting what they do. These vets. Henry Kissinger, he came right out and said, he quoted that military men are nothing but a bunch of dumb, stupid animals to be used as pawns for foreign policy.
And then you think about the men and women who have traumatic brain injuries or injuries and can no longer work, or those men and women who are coming back from Afghanistan, coming back from third world countries where they have seen worse than we could even possibly imagine, right? They've seen the absolute worst. So they're coming back to a nation that literally hates their guts, calls them child murderers, right? You've seen the videos, I've seen the videos. Regardless of what you think of the wars, I saw Americans diving on top of children that weren't American to keep them from being blown up by bombs. There are videos out there that show that, but nobody wants to see it because it's war and it's evil, it's hatred, but it's reality. And we've got an entire generation of warriors coming home with serious issues that the government is not even lifting a finger. If they're not helping our folks like Brian, who's out there trying, right, every day to get something done, to make something of himself, regardless of the situation he found himself in, we got warriors coming home that are not even getting a hand lifted to them and forgotten. And that mix right there is a mix of trouble for anybody that has eyes to see, that the government is going to push their buttons any chance it gets. If it can deny somebody coming home from serving the United States, they're going to do it. It's amazing that, this year's IRS taxes, and I'm just changing the subject real quick, and I'm paying all kinds of stuff in, and they're saying I do this and I owe that and everything. And they're feckless with their management of people and infrastructure. And we got a world that's more worried about what's coming up on Disney tomorrow night. It's insane. It's insane. Brian, Man, my hat's off to you, dude. And it's not to blow smoke up your get people to say, yeah, what you deal with is no joke, and people don't know about those issues behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And they're real, and they do threaten, and they do bully, and it's stupid and shameful.
Well, I appreciate
That's
it.
for sure, man.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for being so kind and getting to
Yeah,
listen
man,
to
we
my.
love you, brother.
Yeah, I love you guys too, and I get to hear. We just collaborate our story. Everything we come together, our walks of life, what we've seen, endured. We get to just serve the Lord, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing. When people take that, when there's people that are silent. There's people that are suffering. There's people that, I think about the blessings that have been given. You think about things a little different in your perspective when your perception, literally your perception, your visual have been altered, and you become more aware of other things, your senses and everything. You become more aware that you can, even though the infirmities are taking a toll on you and stuff, you can still keep grinding, keep moving, trying to, and it's humbling, especially when you see people that are struggling, that are elderly, veterans, anything to that aspect, even younger people, children, whatever, when they're struggling. I've seen it. I've talked to John off air and stuff like that, and talked to you off air about people that I was involved with, because I was more of an active person whenever they would put me together with some of these brain injury before everything happened to the world in the last couple of years. But I was with people that had a lot of severe issues where they couldn't even speak, they was pinned to wheelchairs, and it's a very humbling experience, something I will never forget, and there's a lot of things I will never forget. And when you're a milkman, you will never forget the things that you've seen. You cannot undo it. You cannot unwrite it. The Holy Spirit has given me that, just taught me things just through experiences and through seeing stuff that we're talking about, war, etc. There's war in our states, in our land. I've seen it with my own eyes when it comes to drugs related and situations, and especially with people that are they just laugh about it. I've seen people pass away right in front of me, or even be OD'd to that extent. I've seen stuff. I've seen shootings, etc. And I'm trying to put milk in a store. So let that settle in when the companies put you in harm's way because they expect you to do your job, and they know about these things. They say you can't protect yourself. They say you can't have anything, and whatever happens, you're on your own. So let that resonate, and I know people deal with it. I know truckers that deal with it daily, and it is nothing but, it is just ignorance on the highest order. There's no security, there's no safety. They can tell me all day long the OSHA violations, etc., and I can assure you, I can take you to a lot anywhere in this state, and I can show you OSHA violations. Okay, I can take you to a back room of a facility of a corporation, OSHA violations, and they say that there's none. And it's the same concept with the health department saying that they've cleared these facilities for safety for them to prep food. Bull crap. When you got roaches and disease, it literally causing people to get sick. I know when you got mold growing on a cooler, growing mold, and you still tell me to put my milk in there, and I refuse, and then you try to get me in trouble. You kind of get what I'm saying. So you're taking initiative to save people. But okay, but Brian, you're like a AAA threat, they call you. Like, you know too much. You shouldn't be able to speak or understand. Just do what you're told and shut up, boy. That kind of narrative, that's depressing. And that's kind of where we're at, like with the whole derailment. Shut your mouth, let it come off the track. That's it.
Just WDRB just threw me a text that says, news alert, one barge. And you know what I'm talking about, Brian. Dan, down here in Kentucky, Ohio River splits Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and there's barges going up and down all the time with commerce. Well, it's not just trains. I just got the text, one containing methanol is now loose in the Ohio River near Louisville, and that just happened.
Wow.
So it's just not trains. What are these? Is anybody checking on anything? Is anybody, oiling the little grease nuts on the trucks, or anybody checking the headlights or did you not have like a checklist of stuff to do before you left for work.
Absolutely. You got to check
And
the
you had
ins
to
and
check
outs.
it off,
Yeah,
right? But you
absolutely.
were accountable, so you did it.
Absolutely. But when you check it off and they say, but you say, well, these failed, you just drive it anyways. You shut your mouth. Don't tell nobody.
That's
I know. Don't tell nobody. We can't afford nothing. What do you expect me to do? Don't you want your check? That kind of narrative. Yeah,
here
absolutely.
it comes. I can complain all I want, and I learned this. And Dan, you can speak to this in your experience in your work and jobs. But in my experience, complaining about something is not going to get anything done. I've always enjoyed the business aspects of how the culture of the Japanese ran their business. If something happened, they went ahead and figured out what happened, and then they fixed it, and then they go back and address the people at that moment. That way it doesn't disrupt anything. But accountable people do that. The common sense people do that. You probably would have checked your truck without a checklist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what accountable people do.
Yeah.
We're not in a country of accountable people.
Yeah, and then it's interesting. So there'd be days. No joke. I'll tell you a story. There would be days where my truck would be pinned, so it'd be backed up with these other semis and these other corporations where we share a lot, and the semis would be sitting there with. Listen, no joke. There's no way to get them out of the way. So guess what? I wait a few minutes. There was a guy coming. No joke. I said I can't say his name. He was from North Carolina, crazy dude, but he pulled up. He said, "What are we gonna do?" He said, "We got to go home." I said, "We ain't going home, cause I gotta get back to my house. This is insane." He goes, "What are we gonna do, Brian?" I said, "Get in your truck." He goes, "Do what?" I said, "Get in the truck, start your truck up, and I'll get on the phone with you." There's semis with the doors open. I said, "The doors are open. Thank you." Guess what I did? Big old semis, big old, got the bunks in the back. I told his name. I said his name. I said, "Go ahead and accelerate." I said, put it down neutral. He goes, "You're crazy, Brian." I said, "No." I said, "We're going to work today. Do you understand? This is 1 o'clock in the morning." And I could feel him. I said, "Just press against it. Don't tear the axle. Don't tear your bumper off." I push up against it and ease up on it. And you could feel it. And I said, "Oh yeah, come on, baby." And I put it in neutral. And I started getting momentum, and I would start to roll, and I started getting a little incline a little bit, and then I was like, "Oh, come on, boy, keep on pushing." So we had to do it like Jenga. And he goes, "Brian," "I can't believe that worked." And we had to do it 2 or 3 more times. He goes, "You're the craziest guy I've ever met in my life." He said, "Dude, I said, "I'm resilient. Do you understand?" So the same concept, what John is saying related to this breaking news, listen, I can tell you this, from this old boy, I used to block traffic. When I seen somebody act crazy and there was death and destruction, I'd turn the milk truck to the side, baby. And I'd say like this, I put my hand out, "I got you, cops," because the cops are trying to do their job. I would stop the traffic. Hello, because I knew that I could take the initiative. Yes, I put myself out there. The point is, you save people. People are speeding. Come on now, you're going to get people killed. So I'm like, there's people trying to do their job, policemen, firefighters, whatever. So the same concept with that that boat that's loose, I ain't gonna lie to you. If it was me, John, if it's 2020, if I was healthy in 2023, I would be like this. I'd be pulling up at the barge. "Y'all got some rope or something, or chain or something?" I'd be trying to get it up a boat. I mean, I'd be thinking any kind of, unorthodox way of thinking. That's just how I've been. I can't help it. Because I'd be thinking, there's people living, on this, on the shoreline, just whatever. You have to take initiative, but people.
Well, that's what people, they don't want help. They'll get out the video camera.
Man, listen.
But they don't want to do nothing to help.
Listen, Dan. I threatened people one time, and no joke. I went and got my milk hook, and I was at a stop. I was pulling up, and I seen a guy have a seizure on the sidewalk and bouncing, and they got their phones out. And I said, "Listen!" I started screaming across because they was at another gas station. I said, "Put your phones down, because this boy's gonna come over and rip them out of your hand." I said, "You see this milk hook?" I was yelling at him. I said, "Do not ever act like that." I said, "A man's life is at stake here, and I'm calling the police. I'm trying to call 911, and these fools out there recording it so they get a TikTok hit or whatever." Even back then, this was like 2018, he was flopping off. I mean, he's literally having a seizure, man, about to die. And they're filming it, man. That right there, I don't like to come off as a conflicting person, conflict, but that day, that literally lit me up. I said, I'm about to go off on you. I said, "Put your phones away, I'm gonna break them." Because I said, "Are y'all gonna help or call 911? And I had my milk cook in my hand. They're like, "That guy's crazy," They's like, saying some choice words and getting in their car, and they drove off. But the point was, this man's literally having severely medical emergency, gonna cross over. But if anybody, there's nobody. It was like anybody. Is there anybody left? Is there anybody in it left with any compassion or empathy toward an individual or human being? This man's soul's getting ready to leave his body. But is there any way we can help this individual so we can have an EMT, somebody come out here to get some medical care? No, we've got to get our phones out so we can get some views. That is some deep, dark, sinister death.
Like car accidents, so drive like on highway, see a collision, something, and everybody's just driving by, looking, whatever. I pull right over and I help them out, and regardless of the danger I could be in, but I don't care at the time because I just want to help the people out until the EMTs get there, and I've done that a million times, and people just drive by, and it's like, just get out and do something, help these people,
I had a guy one time, no joke. I was coming down the road and it was kind of wying off, and I kind of got over, and I said, he's gonna hit me. This crazy guy in a minivan slapped my back in my box of my truck and bounced off of me. And he pulls his hands out, blank you, blah, 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 just giving me some bad choice, with his fingers. And he's screaming at me. And I was like, pull over. He's like, I ain't pulling over. I was like, if I hit you again, you'll pull over, boy. And I said, you know what? I'm in a good mood. I got stuff to do. He wasn't going to stop. So guess what? I pulled off and evaluated. It tore his whole front end. And he's still driving. And I pulled over, and it had like a little scuff, about maybe 2 feet, maybe 2 feet of a scuffle, like you could kind of buff it off. So I called, and I said, man, some lunatic. He said, don't worry about it. We'll just try to wash it off when we go through the bay. I'm like, through the wash bay? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it, Brian. I'm like, I'm reporting. We ain't going to report it. I was like, what are we going to do? And that guy just took on Mary's. That's the stuff you had to deal with. And you think it's a hit and run. He's like, so, but it's just ignorance in our society. It's just ignorance. So that's what I'm saying. So the Indian culture survived for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years because they worked in unity. They worked together. They understood the love and enjoyment of life itself. They would, if you will. There was a lot of other. I guess they would come off if there's issues with you've done something wrong. There was a moral code at least. But these people would work together. Today we cannot. We'll just, what I'm saying, we cannot, for some reason we're conditioned. And I think it is to do with MK and all the Mockingbird is to desensitize you to not have empathy toward another soul, to not love each other. There's no compassion. It's just like, get your phone out, push a button. I cannot interact with you. Even if you're stroking out or having a seizure, heart attack, Dan, I have to get my phone out to confirm if you are having a heart attack. That's the world that's the society we're in. But anyways.
If you're having a heart attack in front of me or a stroke, I know what to do.
Yeah.
Same here. I got the regular CPR training, the AED.
Well, I'm sorry, boys. I don't have CPR training, but if I got a battery and a hood and some jumper cables, I'm going to do it that way. You feel me? I'm doing it that way.
Catch it to your nipples.
Yeah, I'm doing it that way. I'm going to do something. If I know that it's going to be, I'm going to do something.
Yeah. Well, guys, I gotta get
I know. Well, Dan.
So it's 3:03, Dan.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Do you have any final words of wisdom for our chat room? Jason, who else is in there? Jamie, Crystal, DC, Joshua. I see all you guys in there. I even saw John in there for a few seconds. He's not feeling great. He probably got what I got. It's going around. Thank you guys for being in here, but give us some words of wisdom before you go out. Me and Brian will shut it down. Oh, and next week, Dan's running the show.
Yeah. So the only thing I can suggest, man, is just like the only way to defeat this evil is to expose it. Like the Bible says, know the deeds of evil and expose Ephesians chapter 5. And that's the only way you can do it. It's like the more way people become aware of things, and people are going to start getting angry, and then things are going to start happening. So it's only so long that you could just push somebody against the wall, before people fire back. And that's what the elite want. That's why they pass it off as like, oh, it happens all the time with the trains and all that. People, like the average person out there, like they know something's wrong, so it's just going to be a matter of time. But the only thing you can do is just keep spreading the truth. That's it. Truth will bring it. I don't care if they spend 10 years, billions of dollars for an operation. 5 minutes of truth could derail the entire operation. No pun intended. But yeah, just keep speaking the truth in the word of God. And here's the thing too, like God's got the final victory, no matter what. So it doesn't matter what these people are doing, because we know when Jesus comes, he's going to lay the biggest can of whip ass in history of mankind when he comes back. So.
Amen, Dan.
Amen. Dan, thanks for coming on. We'll see you next week. Probably talk to you before then. You got spiritual warfare coming up on Friday. What else is coming up this week?
Well, tomorrow is Breaking NWO. It's inspired off of Breaking Babylon. So Breaking NWO, it's Breaking the New World Order. We're news prophecy and spiritual warfare and bring up all kinds of stuff. And then Friday we got I think the Gods of Freemasonry, the Darkness Exposed, I think it is. So me, Trey Harris, and Brian here, we're gonna be rocking the show and just talk about the true gods that the gods.
You're talking about Freemason pansies is what you're talking about, Joe.
Yeah.
Freemason pansies.
Yep.
There, that's what I call them.
Yep.
The Kabbalah. Cool. We got to get Trey on the hot seat, Brian.
Yeah.
And get a few of these folks in here, like Josh. I see a bunch of people that could be in the hot seat.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Yeah, Josh would be good too. Gonna drag him on and.
Well, then the next time I see you, you won't be able to run the show because you'll be here. You'll be here, and you'll be with us coming up April 11th. Is it, guys? April 11th. We're going to be down in Nashville, Tennessee, hanging out with a bunch of great, peculiar folks down there with John Pounders and David Carrico, Joshua, Dan, Brian. Who else is coming?
Brett.
Brett. Yeah. I talked to Brett this Sunday. Brett's going to be there. And of course, Patricia and I. So we're all going to be together. If you want to see us, you got to sign up. I don't know. I think it's packed out, guys. I really do.
Yeah.
Wherever that place is.
Yeah.
I just know it's on the dot. And I travel from A to B.
We're gonna wait that place out.
All right.
We're all meeting in a milk truck in a park. We're all meeting in a milk truck in a parking lot.
As long as it's not on fire, Brian.
All right, love you
See
guys.
you, Dan.
Shalom, man.
Shalom.
All right, so it's down to us, Brian. We're going to end this out. Any words of wisdom?
Well, it's been a blessing to come on here and especially rip it up today on our first live show. It's actually been really enjoyable. I hope everybody's enjoyed it in the chat. Keep our mind on things that are important. I think with the news and everything and the fabrication of the mind, to really hone in on those. They know how to pull the strings, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast. They know how what your low parts are. If you're like your low points, like you have anger, all these different things. They know how to manipulate that. Anxiety, whatever. Keep your mind on the Word of God. Keep your mind on truth of words, the Holy Ghost, spreading truth, understanding. When you feel that tug in your heart, don't move in the direction of the world. Move in the direction of what the God Almighty, the Holy Spirit, is pulling in that direction. So you have have understanding, even if it might seem totally unorthodox, or or if you're on fire or whatever, and he jump in the river, jump in a body of water. I'm just being silly, but if your car's on fire, don't do what I did. You can at least pull over and call for somebody to extinguish it. But yeah, just walk the walk and talk the talk and walk that narrow way with Jesus, and understand that there was literally Ephesians 6:12. We're having a spiritual battle, spiritual application that is we're supposed to endure to the end, and that's what. And we're very thankful to come on here and to do this. That's y'all have a blessed day. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, John.
Well, you can't top that. Blessings in the name of Jesus Christ on behalf of everybody over here to wherever you're at. Pray that the hedge of protection is around you, and that every day we get up is brand new, and that what we did yesterday doesn't matter, doesn't count. But when we wake up, it's go time every day. And we've got to have that Ephesians 6 armor, just put on the cherry on top of what Brian just said. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday on Rip It.
Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
I hear the train a-coming.
I got the audio out.
It's rolling around the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine. I don't know when. I'm stuck